Our next video, uh, the fifth video in this series, is going to cover how to add a property line. Now, in the real world, outside of Texas Tech University, where you're working with streets and things that are not within the same grounds, everybody's going to own their different property. Of course, uh, the Texas Tech University owns all the property. So basically what we're going to use the property line for is to define the building area in which we're going to be allowed to put our design. Okay, and then we're going to assume that our building has to fall within the boundaries of that area. And so the first thing I'm going to do is, this is the civil engineering building right here, and let's measure out here. Let's see, that walk is 9 feet out. This one is how far out? Probably close to 15 feet or something, 16 feet. Okay, so that's 16 feet out. Let's assume that the university doesn't want us to let's look right here. Be any closer than, that's 27 feet there. Okay. So let's put some lines in, then we'll move them around if we need to. First of all, they're not going to allow us, I know that they're not going to allow us to go beyond the perimeter of the existing buildings. So this is the edge of the Holden Hall right here. This is the edge of the civil engineering building, or actually the arcade here is the edge of the civil engineering building. So I'm just going to real quickly draw a model line. I'm going to architecture and draw a model line here. And let's just draw vertically a model line across here. And we're going to say this is the limit of our property on this area. In other words, we can't build beyond that line there. And you can work this out with your instructor. I'm just making a guess so that I can show you how to put a property line in. The next boundary, I'm probably going to just say 16 feet, somewhere right here. So I'm going to put a model line in there too for right now. So we'll go back to architecture, model line, and we'll put a model line right there. So that's the boundary. So we want to at least leave that much space for people to move back and forth. Now, we may push our building, that's as close as we can get to the civil engineering. We may push our building further back from that, okay? In general, over here, there seems to be a desire, to kind of, that's 32 feet there. So I'm going to use the back side of the civil engineering building right here. These are part of the structure of the building, but this is the main facade. So I'm going to say something like this is our property line on this side. Over here, this gets a little bit trickier. I would say we want at least that 16 feet out from these points. What's this right here? Okay, so that's about 16 feet right there. So I'm going to use that line right there as my boundary on this side. Come on, snap to it. Here we go. I could have trimmed that, but I'm just going to extend it instead. The other thing here, this is actually walk right here. If we go into Google Earth and we look, and that's the reason it's good to have this Google Earth file open. We can see that line right there, and we can see this is all kind of grounds right here. It's not actually walk, it's a planted grass area. So I'm just going to come out to this walk right here, and we're going to leave that space for landscaping, not try to crowd that building too much. So I'm going to leave this area right here for landscaping and that walk, and there's that walk right there. Okay. So now, whatever your instructor tells you to do, do it. So if they define it a little differently than I'm defining it, it doesn't make any difference. Just do whatever they tell you to do. So with those guidelines in there now, what I'm going to do is come in and put in an official property line. And normally these would have been already established by the surveyor, your engineering, whoever's doing your civil engineering. They would go out, they would do the survey of the site. They would tell you what the boundaries of the property that your client has bought, and then they would tell you the setbacks and all that kind of stuff that are associated with it. We're going to assume the property line and setbacks are the same. So unless your instructor tells you differently. So if we go into massing and site, we're going to see here a building pad, split surface, property lines right here. And it wants me to save the project. I'm just going to do not save and set reminder intervals. I'm just going to, and that's fine. I just don't want to, I should have, okay. Okay, how would you like to create the property line? Either create it by entering distance and bearings or create it by sketching. If I had a survey, I would do it by entering in distance and bearings, but since I don't, I'm going to just create a sketch. Okay, and what we're going to do is at these points that we've already defined, we're going to draw a property line. And so a single line, radius chain, we want to chain it. And we're just going to go right here, boom. So when I go to draw, something's wrong there. I don't know what it is. I snapped the wrong thing or something, maybe. No, that looks right. Okay. Did we close it right? Okay, we did. Great. So now I've done that. This is going to be a closed line, but it's not a surface. And then you'll see it uses the standard property line line designation. I'm going to now delete these model lines since I'm not going to use them again. I'll just use the property lines instead of them. So did I get them all? I think I did. Okay. So now that's my property base. And so I'm not going to build outside of this, whether I build long and skinny or whether I build square or L shape or whatever. This is my limit. This is the boundary or limit of my my design. The next thing I'm going to do then is go in and set a series of existing objects like the buildings and establish some levels. So let's go to the next video.